Hey everyone, welcome to Dad Casual, where full-time dads and casual gamers come together to discuss everything we love about the games we wish we had more time to play. Thanks for being here. If you would, please take a moment to follow and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and your favorite podcast platform of choice. And if you ever have any questions, topics, or thoughts, feel free to email dadcasualpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And without further ado, this is Dad Casual. Hey everyone, this is the second episode of Dad Casual, and if you're joining us for the first time or returning, we are super glad to have you. And joining us once again, just like last week, is Preston Jensen.
What's up, guys?
And we've got Houston Dragna.
I think I'm addicted to sparkling water. It's a problem, guys.
And I'm Andy Bond, and I'm drinking a Cayman Jack and enjoying a little drink at 9:15 because my kids are asleep. What's going on, guys?
Dude, so, amen.
So, I know this wasn't planned, but Madden just released something that I've never heard of in a video game.
Never?
Well, not like this.
Suspense is real.
Madden, this is real. I'm looking at the Twitter right now, and this is a real thing. They are announcing a ratings. Okay, for those who don't play Madden, there are some people out there that don't play Madden, I know. They have ratings for each player, just like a lot of other games.
What's the scale?
0 to 99.
Okay.
Or 1 to 99. I don't know if you can get 0, but I know you can't get 100. But 99, they like the people that are 99 get real trophies, and Madden or EA delivers it to them. Whatever. There is now a hotline number you can call to get your favorite players' ratings adjusted.
So, like,
are we talking?
Are the fans calling or the players?
Yeah, the fans can call, and there's a number.
Oh man!
So this is American Idol now.
Yeah,
for sports.
But for sports,
that's true. I'm
not sure how it all works out, but it just popped up on my timeline right before we started this podcast, so I figured I'd throw it out there.
If I do it, I'm going to record myself, and we can put it on next week's podcast. I want to complain about Patrick Mahomes had an 86 in agility, which that man can dive sideways while throwing the ball with perfect accuracy. I don't know what's more agile than that. So,
and I'll be representing the percentage of our listeners who do not pay attention to almost any sports. So
there it is.
You're not alone, guys and gals.
We're about to lose all our viewers. Sure. Let's move on.
So that's the crazy thing that I saw today.
So today, guys, we've got a bunch of topics, so we want to go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to be talking about a few different things from the KOTOR remake, possibly being delayed or canceled. We're going to talk about...
What is KOTOR?
We'll get to that. Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
We're also going to talk about a leaked Black Panther game, possibly coming from EA. We're going to talk about GTA 6 and some details that have leaked, as well as PS Plus games and some updates to the PS5 console, and just a few other things about us, our family, and Preston going on vacation next week. I know y'all care about that.
I can't wait.
So, guys, let's go ahead and jump first right into the KOTOR remake. So I'm reading from Mariella Moon at Engadget. She quotes a Bloomberg article that says, you may not get to play the PlayStation 5 remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic anytime soon. According to Bloomberg, its development has been delayed indefinitely. Sony announced that Aspire Media, a company known for creating ports out of existing video games, was remaking BioWare's classic Star Wars RPG last year. They were working on the remake for 3 years and then had industry veterans as well as people who helped create the original game on board. It looked promising, but it seems uncertain. And so skipping through here, it says that the developers were excited by what they had achieved, but a week later, however, the company fired the design director Brad Prince and art director Jason Miner.
He gone.
Their credit shows his end of employment July 2022. So basically what's going on is this game was originally developed by BioWare and LucasArts back in 2013. Well, no, it was, I'm sorry, 2003, but it was released on iOS in 2013. And then Aspire, which is a subsidiary of Saber Interactive, took over this game, and they announced it last year that they were going to do a complete remake. So the graphics are terrible in the old game now at this point. They haven't aged well, but the story and the gameplay are really beloved. And so it's...
And what's the full name? I know you said KOTOR, but what is...
So it's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Got it.
Have either of you guys played that?
I have heard rave reviews from a good friend of mine, Andy Bond. Played it growing up.
I think I said last week it's on my top 10.
It's on your top 10.
Nice. I didn't have an original Xbox back in 2003, so this one passed by me. Like, I didn't have like a gaming PC or like anything that probably could have handled it at the time, nor did I have an Xbox. I was on Nintendo and PlayStation systems, and kind of still am today. I still don't have an Xbox, but I've had friends that have played it, and I've like watched them play it at like sleepovers and stuff when I was real little and all that kind of jazz. But no, not really familiar with it.
So
yeah, I've only seen a little bit of gameplay after you told me how amazing it was.
It doesn't probably look that great.
That's the same story. I didn't have an Xbox or a PC then.
So I had a PC in high school that I was at least able to play it. And I actually have a memory of I was reading, my mom showed me an article about it, like in the news, and she was like, hey, this is big enough to make the real news. And like tease, and like I was like, oh, okay. You know, when our parents...
Who's laughing now, Mom?
Whatever. But it is genuinely probably my favorite Star Wars story, maybe even more than in the films. It's so hard to talk about because it's got a great twist. It's very cool. It's not a real time strategy. It's real time, but you can pause time. So you're making strategic decisions and moving around, but then you can press pause and you can say, all right, this character go do this character go do this. And then when you resume, the character you're controlling, you can continue to control. So it's this squad-based gameplay. But I think what made it really revolutionary was that you could go dark side, light side. You can make all kinds of decisions. You chose your crew to go with you. It was a predecessor to Mass Effect, in my opinion, because it's BioWare. And so this was like the best days of BioWare, and it's just a great game, and had a really great story. And so if it comes back, you guys should try it. I mean, I would say try the original, but it does feel really dated at this point.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I'm definitely a Star Wars fan through and through, and I do enjoy some Star Wars games. There's some pretty truly awful ones, but there's also some really good ones. Like Battlefront was one of my favorites. Yeah. Like in 2 and 3, like I really do enjoy that game a whole lot. So I'm super interested in this one. But I definitely want to learn more about it. But I'm really excited to get a chance to kind of play it with fresh eyes, and in like 4K, hopefully like 60 frames a second, that kind of thing. But yeah, the delay is concerning. So I don't know if it outlined in that little excerpt that you were saying earlier from Engadget, but I heard either rumor or like maybe there is some substantiality behind it, but that they might be transferring studios and like giving it to somebody with like a bit more experience, more robust workforce to be able to kind of tackle it the way it needs to be tackled. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Have you heard anything else about that?
That's similar to what I heard too, on a couple different sites, but there's no timeline, right? It's all on hold. It is as far as we know right now.
What they call development hell, as far as I understand.
Basically, from what it reads, is that Aspire, the video game company that was developing, they are not going to continue development. And so why the official report is that it is indefinitely on hold. So it's going to have to be handed off. And Saber Interactive, which is their parent company, is going to take back the game and probably find a new developer. But again, none of this has even been announced. This is all kind of behind the scenes information. They got told to Bloomberg. And so it really just depends. I definitely think, I mean, I'm trying to remember what was this announced at? I think it was announced at a State of Play last summer. And this was one of the biggest pops of the show. Everybody was really excited about this news because, I mean, for me, I wasn't necessarily itching for a remake. I'm wanting Knights of the Old Republic 3. I'm wanting the next sequel, the next game. But especially after some of the remakes over the past couple of years, like Final Fantasy 7-10 Final Fantasy 7 remake, I was excited for a true overhaul of something that was that beloved, but just really needed the graphical overhaul because it does. It doesn't look. It can't. It just can't hold up.
It was originally announced in September of 21 last
year. So yeah, I'm not sure that had to have been a state of play.
Because it's not an Xbox game anymore. It's announced for Sony, like PlayStation and PC now,
which is crazy.
So video game like politics and like handovers of like ever since like Crash Bandicoot is not owned by like Naughty Dog anymore. Like I have no faith that like anything is original like to the creator anymore. So
what I think is fascinating, this part where it says that apparently Aspyr finished the demo and the developers were excited by what they achieved. They showed it off and were fired a week later. Like, so they were excited about it.
That had to be a crappy feeling.
I am a little. I want to know. Maybe was it more like a technical demo, and Lucasfilm and Sony were expecting something a little further along? I'm not sure, but it wasn't up to Sony's standards. So, which you know what? In this day and age, when things come out and they're broken and they're not as far along,
people don't want it.
I'd rather you delay it or cancel it than put out something that's garbage.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Case in point, Cyberpunk.
Oof.
Yeah. But Cyberpunk has come along.
Definitely.
Preston, you're the only one that's actually... I played it before. And...
When it was bad?
I played the next gen demo as well for a little bit. It's really good.
Okay, I need to jump into it. I stopped playing because it was so buggy for me and I was having crashes.
Yeah, it's a good story too. Like it's a really it's 3 storylines that you can take, which is super cool. But yeah, that's like exhibit 1 for we don't care how long it takes to make the game good, just make the game good.
Yep.
Don't release it half finished.
Yeah, that's definitely
Speaking of even half finished, the rumors of I think we all love Marvel stuff here, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. So yeah, let's get into that. So EA is working on a Black Panther game. Now this is a true leak. And I think I can hear the groans across the internet. They hear those letters. EA. The way
that's the first thing I thought.
So this comes from Jeff Grubb at Giant Bomb. He was
Jeffy Grubb.
Jeffy Grubb. He used to be a GamesBeat staffer, and so this is a GamesBeat article. It says Electronic Arts is getting into the superhero game with a new title based on Black Panther, according from a report from Giant Bomb member and former GamesBeat staffer Jeff Grubb on his daily news show Game Mess Mornings. According to Grubb, the title is in early development and is a single-player affair. A new Seattle studio founded by former Monolith Productions VP and studio head Kevin Stevens is likely working on the project. Starting with the death of one Black Panther, players take on a character that is becoming the newest incarnation of the Wakanda hero. And
that sounds amazing.
That sounds great.
That's some eerily weird parallels to like real life too. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
That is. The cool thing that stuck out to me with this is the open world. I love a good open world game. But EA doing it, I'm like, I don't know. Let's see what they can do. I really want to believe. I mean, you play the GTAs, you play the Red Dead, all the Rockstar open world games, and I don't know anybody that can compare to their open world games. They last. I mean, GTA 5 is on year 10, and they're still massive updates, but I would love to see a great Marvel open world game. Have y'all played the other Marvel games?
Yeah, I played the Spider-Man one. I also played what was it called? The Avengers game by Square Enix. It was less than ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Insomniac Spider-Man games are like, in my opinion, some of the best games ever made.
Beautiful.
They're absolutely like just flawless in my opinion.
I still haven't played Miles Morales, and I really want to.
Isn't that free?
It's included.
No,
it's included on PS Plus, so it's free to me.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's more of the same, just with like slightly tuned graphics and a new character, and like the way his animations are. Like, he's a really cool character. He has a lot more like not more, but a much different personality and like life.
He does have different skill sets. I know his camouflage,
and, like, even his animations, like it's cool because you can see his animations when he's like flying, like in web slinging, that like he kind of like stumbles a little bit, and like you can tell like how green he is. It's a really good take on that storyline.
I would love to see something that good come out of EA with Black Panther, because Black Panther's an amazing character in the Marvel Universe, and it could be amazing.
So I know it's EA, but it's Monolith. So I don't know if you played either of the Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War, the Lord of the Rings games that came out. But I actually really enjoyed those games. I played all of Shadow of Mordor and beat it. But when I played Shadow of War, it felt a little samey. I didn't get very far. I maybe got 5-6 hours in, and I was like, this feels so identical to the first game that I feel like I'm playing the first game again. But that system, they had a really unique system in that game called the Nemesis system. Do either of you know about that?
Yeah, I didn't beat the game, but yeah, I'm familiar enough with it to know about that system for sure.
So, Preston, so you don't know about it, and for anyone listening, so the Nemesis system was something they introduced, and I remember when they introduced it, a lot of publications and journalists were saying, like, this is kind of revolutionary or groundbreaking, that it could apply to a lot of different games, and it so far hasn't happened. I haven't seen it duplicated or replicated, but it was simply that there was the main bosses in the world, but there were dozens of sub bosses. So you'd be going through the world, and if you stumbled upon like a powerful enemy or someone, like the game would cut to a cutscene, and they would like call you out, and you might begin a fight with this person. And what would happen is when you beat them, what you could do is then you could like get information on their leader, or you could just straight up kill them if you wanted, or you could do different things. And what would happen is
makes sense.
You could go up this system of like a pyramid of like going to the top of the like find the biggest leaders, right? Well, but if you lost, what would happen is then those people, say you died, you wouldn't get to fight them again. They would get promoted, get stronger, and you would see them later in the game. And so there was this system you might.
It was like the opposite.
Correct. And so what could happen it happened for a lot of people is that they actually did have a nemesis, because they'd be late in the game and they'd be like, oh my gosh, it's the guy I died to twice.
That's amazing.
But if you died to them too many times, they're like, they can, and everybody too, you can get intel. So if you beat a guy, you could find out intel about 3 other leaders of like, oh, this guy is scared of fire. So if I start a fire, he'll panic and I can easily beat him while he's panicking. Or like it was really clever and creative, and it made it fun to play. And legitimately, most people, and me, I definitely had a few people that I was like, oh my gosh, I want to kill this guy so bad. And it made it stressful and fun.
Yeah, so I wonder how many elements from like their existing games that they're going to be throwing into this, or if they're going to try something in a completely different direction. I'm also curious about the implications of another single player Marvel themed superhero game with Wolverine on the horizon from Insomniac.
Yeah.
And so I'm beyond stoked, knowing how good Spider-Man is.
Yeah, that's the same developer, so it'll probably be good.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger for sure. But Black Panther is just an inherently cool character, I think, just with like the armor and like what he stands for, and especially now his being present in the MCU and like how huge of a success that was. I think it has a lot to live up to. So I'd be really interested to see what direction they take it and how it actually pans out. But I mean, if it was just a leak, I mean, we're probably not talking about 2024 at the earliest.
And
until it gets.
I'm sure they wanted to announce it, and probably if this has been in development and is getting leaked at this point, they probably wanted it to coincide with the movie coming up in November. But that always slips. That happens.
You think they wanted the movie and maybe a quick trailer or an announcement?
They might do that. I could totally see in November, like the trailer dropping.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is that this isn't like a licensed movie game. This is like a standalone.
Sure.
From what I understand, a standalone adventure of just that character.
Yeah. I don't think people want licensed movie games. I just was meaning that more to just like ride that marketing train.
Yeah. That 100%. Makes sense. It would be great to see something.
Yeah, also, I mean, it could be at the Game Awards in December as well. That'd be right after the movie. And that's a really big time where people are paying attention to games. So we're going to go ahead and move on. I know we're talking about one of Preston's favorite series ever. We're going to talk about GTA 6 details leaked and that there's possibly a female protagonist and a return to a city that we've been to before. This is from Joe Screbbles at IGN. He says, Grand Theft Auto 6 will reportedly feature a female playable character in its campaign for the first time. Rockstar apparently plans to launch the game with a single city, but add more locations over time through updates. As part of the report on Rockstar by Bloomberg, sources close to the studio discussed the new female character who will be Latina. The character will reportedly be part of a pair of bank robbers and a story influenced by real-life criminals Bonnie and Clyde. And then a little bit further down, it says that the report indicates the launch version of GTA 6 will begin with fictionalized Miami and surrounding areas, presumably a return for Vice City. Thoughts?
That makes me so happy, so happy. But let's just say this. The first line that you said, for the first time ever, that's an asterisk. They didn't say it in here, but in the original GTA, it was a top-down. I think it came out in the 90s, late 90s.
That sounds right.
On PC. And it did allow you to pick one of 4 women, the original. It didn't change any gameplay. It didn't do anything like that. But just to be clear, there were women in the original GTA that you could play as.
Gotcha.
Top-down version.
This is mostly just like story implications.
Yes. But
I'm seeing that in this article. It says the first in a 3D GTA series.
There it is.
Also, it says specifically a main campaign from the game, not GTA Online. I guess there are GTA Online expansions where you could play as a woman, but they're not.
You can play as.
They're not.
You
counting.
Create your character.
Yeah, they're not counting that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this seems awesome. There have been rumors for years on this, so
it actually makes a lot of sense.
It does. It would be awesome. And where did they say it was going to be? Miami, I think is what I read. Vice City. So back to Vice City.
Vice City.
Well, they said it first, but they said that their plan is to expand and go. The game is codenamed Project Americas due to its original plan to include huge territories based on North and South America.
That'd be wild.
But that plan was scrapped for launch in part to reduce crunch for employees. So they've been trying to not be as crazy. And this is an interesting quote too, is that, however, much of the report focused on progressive changes at Rockstar in recent years, including a more inclusive office culture, a focus on reducing crunch, a removal of abusive managers, conversion of contractors into full-time employees, and restructure. Morale is said to be higher as a result, and one source said Rockstar was once a boys' club, now transformed into a real company. So that's interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to hear.
I did see also, and this may help with the leak, or I guess it's still a leak. In GTA 5 Online, there are posters throughout the entire online community for different things, one of them being a motorcycle show. That will be live August 7th. And so all these different posters, so there's different things in the game, but all of it says August 7th. So we could see something August 7th, maybe an announcement, maybe a teaser, maybe, I don't know. Purely speculation there, but could be great to see.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not a I've dabbled in most of the GTAs, but I've never like really stuck with one.
Mm-hmm.
GTA Online, like I've done some like the races and stuff. So I'm most interested in. I know a lot of people are like super into the stories and they say they're great, and I believe that because Rockstar has a great knack for telling stories. But
Yes,
I want to see like how much crazier they can make GTA, being as ridiculous as like GTA Online and GTA 5 are right now. Like what besides graphics, like what do they have left to turn in terms of like gameplay mechanics that are just going to like hook people? Because like the story is one thing, but like people stick around for all the extra stuff in GTA, not just the story.
Yeah, that's true.
I also read October 29th, 2023 is the slated release, but man, that would be quick in my opinion. But no telling how long they've been working on it.
I would say, how long has GTA 5 been out?
Oh, GTA 5 has been out for
10 years almost.
more. I thought that was a PS3 game, right? So
2013. So next year, September 17th, 2013.
Jeez.
So yeah, GTA 5 has had so many renditions, but you know, it never really had much in terms of campaign, like add-ons or DLC. It was really just once GTA Online took off, they went full steam ahead, and a lot of people are still a little upset about that. They wanted more campaigns, single player campaigns.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Online was introduced in version 5?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it exploded. As far as income goes, it dwarfed
Yeah, I mean,
the sale of
that's
even
where
the
they
main
made
game.
all their money.
Yeah, so so you follow the money.
Isn't it like, I've heard the stat from IGN before, but it's like the single highest grossing piece of media ever,
Yeah, I've
or
read
something
that.
like that.
That's probably true. It's not the best selling game ever, but because of the income off of GTA Online, it might be the highest grossing. That might be true.
So Take-Two Interactive's GTA 5 has become the most profitable media product since all time, thereby beating movies like Star Wars and Avatar. Grand Theft Auto 5 launched in 2013 and sold 90 million copies on all platforms, grossing in roughly $6 billion.
That's wild.
From one game. That's incredible. And you're reading on the WCCF Tech website?
I believe so, yeah.
Gotcha.
I definitely think the female protagonist makes a lot of sense. You know, I remember seeing people talk about like, could GTA come out in modern times, considering progressive culture and you know, just I don't know, political correctness and all that. And I don't want to get deep into the weeds on that, but it is interesting of what will the reception be like if GTA 5, the original GTA 5, came out today. Would it be received with more backlash? I think it would.
A whole lot more, yeah.
But is it enough to like get canceled? I don't think so, but
yes. So that's an interesting conversation when it comes to art though. So like PC-ness in like real life versus the veil of art to just have a piece to express a certain thought, even if it's against those beliefs. Like sometimes it's like it's so extreme in the un-PC-ness that it shows that the developer actually cares about like exposing those types of things. And so I don't know. I think it could have both sides. I personally don't think it's going to affect the success of this game to have a female protagonist. I think if it's a good game, it's going to be a good game. Who cares what gender or race the protagonist is? I think it's going to be awesome.
What I think though will help, and I do think it's smart because it makes me think of South Park, and here's why. The reason South Park gets a way of making fun brutally of one demographic of people
Group.
is they make fun of every other demographic too. It is an equal application of insults and satire, right? And so
they hate everyone equally.
Correct. So, and I feel like if you can ride that line, you can get away with it. And so it's smart to say, you know what? We're going to have a main character that, and you know, you got that punching, all of that. Like, okay, he may be like demeaning women, but then we're going to have a woman demeaning men right back. You know what I mean? And then if you mix races, you know, she's apparently Latina, or you have, you know, whatever different races. I think that is the best way to handle that if they're going to continue, because people don't want it to lose what it was because it's satire. And I think satire is supposed to be a joke. And I think I personally fall into the camp that jokes shouldn't be off limits. But
Yeah.
That was the word I was searching for. I completely forgot the word satire existed from the English language. So thank you for that.
Tough word.
Been a long day.
Oh man.
Guys, we're dads and it's 9:45 at night. So, you know.
Yeah. But awesome. Yeah. I'm excited for it. I think I want to give it a try.
I did not play
Even though I haven't been-
GTA 5. Never played it.
I bought it on PS3, PS4, and PS5.
I played GTA 4. And I think I just didn't love it. I thought the dialogue was inherently cheesy. And I thought the best part was the sandbox nature of like, I want to just steal a motorcycle and rip and do these things. And I think when GTA 5 came out, I was like, so I don't think I'm excited for the campaign. And I don't want to do the same thing I did in GTA 4. I just didn't. And I think I now seen what GTA Online was, I feel like I missed out. And so I think I might jump into GTA 6 and give it a shot.
Yeah.
I've found myself watching those videos of the people that take the cars and see how far they can get across the map, jumping them by like souping them up and stuff.
Yes.
And so that's the stuff I love about it. I love the sandbox nature of it and how just open-ended of a game it is.
Yeah. And
I like
and
games
then-
that let you do whatever you
well,
want.
that's one of them.
PC version, the mods in it are just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's wild.
Sure.
So let's move on. We want to talk about August PS Plus games. I know we talked about last week about PS Plus, but if you have not upgraded to Extra or Premier, just the Essential tier continues to give you a few PS Plus games every month. And so this month is Yakuza Like a Dragon, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remaster, and Little Nightmares. Have either of you two played those games?
I bought Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 when it came out originally.
Cool.
So I have that bundle. That is my childhood, really, right there. Those games were amazing. And
Right
I
there with
remember
you.
I'll probably
friends hanging out, listening to all the great
the
music on those.
The music.
It was just so fun.
That's where
And then-
everyone in our generation got their musical taste. For sure.
It was amazing. I love that whole series. Little Nightmares.
Looks cool.
I thought Little Nightmares was on, it might have been on the PlayStation Now when I had that before the new PlayStation Plus stuff came out. I downloaded it and I hadn't played it.
It kind of, the gameplay to me remind me of like Limbo maybe, or Inside.
It's more the tone than the gameplay, I think.
Okay.
Because it's 3D. Well, I think it's 2.5D.
Yeah, well that's what I think Inside was.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Limbo was truly 3D, I think. But or 2D.
2D.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It
I haven't played Inside.
it looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might give that one a shot too. And then I'll play Tony Hawk's Pro Skaters I'll play it for an evening because I played them so much when I was young.
It's hard. Like the controls are very, very sensitive, and it's like if you miss something, you miss something. It's challenging for sure, but it's fun. I think it's fun because it is challenging.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
I've never played a Yakuza. I just never felt really inclined. I mean, I said I haven't played GTA, and I feel like it's GTA. And am I wrong about that? Is Yakuza not GTA just in Tokyo?
It's not. So there's two types of, and just because I'm a self-proclaimed Japanophile, I say it Yakuza. Anyway, we'll get over
what
that.
did I say?
Yakuza.
Oh, it's Yakuza.
It's an emphasis thing. Anyway, not going to bore people with that.
Hit me with it.
So there are two types of Yakuza games. So Like a Dragon is, it diverges from the core game series. And I actually have only played one other Yakuza game. But the others are beat 'em ups. They're 3D, like semi-open world beat 'em ups with really good stories. It's all like, I think it's like late 80s to like late 90s Japanese mafia. That's what the Yakuza is. And it's all set in that time period. So it's a really cool theming. They've been really famous for like really faithfully recreating a lot of like famous Japanese vistas and like cities like Osaka and Kabukicho in Tokyo. And I've been to those places, and it's like seeing it in a video game is like really, really cool to see. So like that spoke to me. That's why I wanted to play them. But Like a Dragon is an RPG, and that's the first for the Yakuza series. And I haven't finished it yet. I'm actually most of the way through it, and I keep putting it down and picking it back up. It's a really long game. But yeah, it's a traditional JRPG in the sense of the gameplay style, but the theming is really like crazy and like tongue in cheek, and the whole premise behind like the action sequences is Kasuga, the main character, thinks he's like in Dragon Quest, like the game, like he actually references Dragon Quest in it. And so whenever he's like fighting the bad guys or like just random like hobos and like punks on the street, they like transform into like monsters in front of your eyes. And like the game, like, you know, where, you know, like a Pokemon battle, it like kind of like the screen flashes and like you get put into the battle. That's kind of what this does. It like flashes and it goes really super RPG style. Music changes. And then these people, like, you'll see like a schoolboy or something like that. And then he like gets like a mohawk and he's holding a machete and like he has like evil eyes and stuff. And then you have to beat him up that way with like a baseball bat or like some pretty gross, like adult themed things. And like, it's hilarious, but I think the theming's great. The story's really good. And the voice acting is phenomenal. So Like a Dragon is kind of its own thing.
It looks great. I'm looking at their website now, and it looks fun. I'll probably try it out. I probably wouldn't have had you not hyped it up, but
it's a little bit more this version, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I don't know if it's Saints Row I'm thinking of, or like Far Cry Blood Dragon, where it's like it's a spin off the main series. It's a little bit like now you have superpowers. Like
it's not quite so far, because the original ones, the fighting was still far-fetched. Like you always had quote unquote superpowers. Like it's a brawler, but not like WWE style. And we'll talk about that later. It's more like your punches like can knock people out in like one blow and like knocks them off the ground, and you have like a glowing white aura around your fist when you're punching people, like that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit supernatural, but it's all founded in some sort of reality. And so like if somebody pulls a gun on you, like that's like a real thing in the game. Like it's like, oh, that's an actual threat, as opposed to somebody hitting you with like a pool floaty.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool. And for those that are extra and premium members, you also get several other Yakuza games this month or in August. So not only will you get Like a Dragon, now you'll have to claim it. These games you have to claim, but you'll also get to your list of game library. You'll get several other Yakuza games, and you can look that up at PlayStation Blog. So moving on, I wanted to talk about a little bit. I thought this was a fun topic. Preston, you're going on vacation next week. And I know I've tried this before, so I wanted to ask you something about that. Are you bringing a console or a Switch or any, mobile gaming device? And do you ever try to play? Like, I just went on vacation and I brought all those things, didn't play it at all. Just because I constantly was with my kids. So I want to see if you're going to try.
So it depends on the vacation, obviously, at first. This time we're going to the beach for a week, so it'll be nice. Grandma will be there. My brother and his family will be there with his kids. So my son will have somebody to play with. And we'll get into kids' ages and everything like that. But like we said in the beginning, we all have kids under 5. So the attention is needed. I am definitely bringing my Switch and going to play Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
If that's at night, sitting on the beach or something.
I just gave it to him.
I'll play that. I was yesterday making lunch in the kitchen, and my wife Christine was there too. And I was like, I'm debating bringing my PlayStation.
Just do the Switch. Breath of the Wild.
She said, do it.
Yeah. I mean, you could.
And I was like, okay, why not? Yeah, just pack it.
So here are my tips on Breath of the Wild. Can I give them to you?
Go for it.
All right. This is the kind of game that I don't think you want a lot of tips on. First off, I'm going to say that. You should go in fairly clean. There's just a few things I was going to say. One, embrace the weapon system. So the weapon system in that game frustrates some people, and you have to embrace it. So what it is, every weapon, no matter how good the weapon, will break down and eventually break completely. You get the best sword in the game, and after you've hit with it like 200 times, it snaps and it's gone, like it's broken.
Dang. Okay.
So that's some
except for one.
Is that true? I'm pretty sure the one still breaks.
It goes
Guys,
away. It
guys,
goes
don't
away, but it
spoil
comes
it.
Oh,
back.
okay.
I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm not gonna
Don't
spoil it. It
spoil
goes
it.
away, but it comes
Okay.
back. Every other one is gone for good.
Is it the boomerang?
There are those, but no.
Well, it does.
We
No,
need
the
a dad
boomerang
joke
comes
button.
back. That's what he was saying.
Oh gosh,
You didn't get it.
man. I missed it completely. Oof. No, yeah.
So there are boomerangs. There are weapons that are like bladed boomerangs, and you can hit and you can
There you
catch
go.
it. It's great. But what's makes that fun is you start to, if you can embrace it, it's really fun. Because what'll happen is and it tells you when your weapon's about to break. So instead of hitting with it, you can chuck it and it'll do extra damage and maybe like stun the enemy. And then if they drop their weapon, you can run over and pick it up and hit them with it. Like, it becomes fun, like if you can embrace it a little bit. But there are times when it can become stressful, where all of a sudden you're in a huge fight and then your last weapon broke and you feel screwed because there's nothing you can do except try to look for another weapon. Anyway, it's really fun. The other thing I recommend is just pay attention to the like status effects of food and weapons. So like I know in the very beginning section, there's a frustrating section where like it's too cold, and if you go into this area, you'll freeze and literally take damage. And you're like, how am I supposed to do this? You're just supposed to like look and find there's certain foods that like will keep you warm if you eat them, the game has like systems too that are super clever of like, even if you hold a torch, now it doesn't tell you this, but if you're like,
Don't spoil things, bro.
I know,
Don't spoil
but
things.
like you're like, oh, that'll keep me warm, or that'll like if you think like, oh, this is how it would work in the real world, it probably works that way in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they give you multiple ways to solve a lot of problems in the game, which is
awesome.
really cool. It gives a lot of station and autonomy to the player, which is more so than any game has ever done previously. That's why it's such a big deal.
There are puzzles in that game that it almost felt like I cheated, but I didn't. It was one of the available ways to beat the puzzle. And it was like, that's cool. Like, they let me do that. That's awesome. And it's that kind of stuff that makes it fun. So those are my two things that I think in the first few hours can be frustrating if like, because they don't tell you. But man, so fun.
Well, the good thing about, obviously the Switch is how mobile it is. And I love to sit out on a patio when at the beach. So
nice. I
will probably sit out there with a nice drink, play Breath of the Wild, and then roll back inside and go right to sleep.
Yeah. And you can be doing a lot of beach time with your little boy.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be great. So, I am planning on bringing the PS5 as well. It will be interesting to see if I bust it out or not. So, but I'm going to bring it.
Yeah, that's a bit more of a commitment for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I always have Tesla Arcade I can play.
Tesla Arcade.
Preston is convinced that Tesla is the next great gaming platform.
I mean, it's technically a console, I guess.
I mean, Steam is coming, but that's a whole nother.
We'll
get into that in another
console ever.
Yes, ever.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Well, so speaking of ourselves a little bit here, so Preston, tell us about your family. You've got your one kid.
Yeah. So I've been married to my wife Christine now almost 8 years. We've been together a little over 12. We had Rhett right at 3 years ago now. He joined the crew. So we just have one. Not planning on any more.
One and done.
One and done is for us. He is amazing. He loves to do everything I love to do right now. He will sit up here and, the classic hand the kid a controller and let him think he's playing. He will sit up here and play whatever I'm playing for hours, which is awesome. It is a little bit challenging sometimes to obviously make time for even this. He's got to be asleep.
Yeah.
Because everything right now is, what are you doing? What is that? Why? What is that? What is that? Over and over. So getting some quiet time to talk to you guys or to play with you guys is nice, but it's also very challenging at times.
So Preston, when he told me about that his wife was pregnant with their first child, I laughed because Preston and Christine were a little bit notorious.
We weren't planning on having kids at all, so it was a surprise.
But yeah, I think that he even would like send me videos of when his son was crying in the middle of the night as a newborn, and he was like, "It's not worth it. I told you, it's not worth it." And I was like,
"You guys said it would be amazing."
It is amazing, but yes, I feel like I was fairly upfront that those first couple months are pretty rough, but that's awesome.
I will say this: my love of Mario Maker. I know we talked about it last episode too, but in the hospital, Rhett was born about 6 weeks early, so we were in the hospital in NICU for a couple weeks, and I played there while sitting next to him. And then when we finally got him home, rocking him to sleep every night, as soon as he would shut his eyes, I'd grab the Switch and rock him and play some Switch and Mario Maker. So Mario Maker actually, it's so cheesy, but has a very special place in my heart, connected to my son all those days and nights when he was a preemie.
That's sweet, man.
So how about
video games, man?
So tell us about your family, Houston.
Yeah. So I've also been married just over 8 years, 8.5 now, to my wife, Kristen. And we also have a 3-year-old named Josephine. And Preston and I were actually in the NICU together for a couple weeks, for a short time. Me for a very different reason. So a little backstory, and I don't want to get too like mushy or into it, but my daughter has spina bifida. And so currently she's amazing. She's the most adorable kid. I'll fight both of you to say whose kid is cutest, but I will win. But she's amazing. But right now, part of those challenges is that she can't verbalize yet, nor can she walk. So spina bifida is something that kind of affects your spinal column, and depending on the severity, can be anywhere from like paralysis to like just total non-function, or it can be so light that you don't even notice it. And so every case is different. And with Josephine, she is very intelligent, but she just can't speak yet. And then she's having difficulty walking. So that's provides its own challenges. But my wife is an absolute superstar, and we kind of just take it a day at a time, and we love her for who she is. And it's been great. Currently, she is into Peekaboo Barn. That is her favorite game.
Nice.
And so, she'll.
What is that?
Go ahead.
What is that?
It is like a one-touch iPad game that has a picture of a barn. And when you tap the barn, so the doors shake and there's like an animal noise, and you tap the door, and then the animal appears, and then it tells you the name of the animal and shows you a picture. And then it changes and just keeps rotating. So she'll just smack the screen over and over again for like 45 minutes, just wanting to see all the new animals and all the sounds they make.
Yeah, it's amazing. She'll get all the achievements before you know it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and that, I think beyond that, I mean, it's like having a kid. Like it's not that much different on the day to day in terms of like how much you have to get done to put them to bed and to feed them and to give them their medicine and all that kind of stuff. So finding time for games, aside from that work life, freelance work that happens after hours anyway. Yeah, most times I'm like playing games from like 10:30 to midnight and then trying to go to sleep after that.
Yeah. And I think that's it's great to have you here, Houston, too. I think all of us have different experiences as dads, and I like that that we're all kind of going through our own journey. So, and for sure, if anyone out there is listening, and maybe you have a similar situation or similar stories to any of us, really, we want this show to not just be about games, though. I think most primarily we will talk about games probably 75% of the time because we love them, but also about our families. We're going to be real and talk about things that are going on, how to be good dads, how to be good husbands. And so I know for me, I have 3 kids, So I'm the better dad.
Show off.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So I have 3 kids. I have an 8-year-old boy, a 5-year-old boy, and a 1-year-old girl who just turned 1 last week. She had her birthday, and she's been great. I've had just her this week while mom and my 2 sons have been camping in the Smoky Mountains. And so it's been kind of cool to bond with her this week and feel like a one child parent, single dad. But it's been kind of cool. Though I really miss my wife and boys a lot. I was really thinking that tonight, that I'm glad we did this tonight, because I love games. And man, I'll tell you what, those first few nights they were gone, oh man, I'm just playing all the games.
You were up playing, bro.
But now I'm feeling kind of like, well, I still want to play, and I started Final Fantasy and I want to keep going. I just am ready for my family to be home. And I think for some of you guys might hopefully relate to that. You never get that break, or that. But when you do get that break, I find for me, I don't need it very long. I need 2-3 days. And so I definitely love my boys. They're insane. My oldest 8-year-old has ADHD, and so I can have some struggles there. I don't know if any parents have that going on. He's about to go into 3rd grade, and apparently that's when things start to get real. And so we're a little worried for this fall, and maybe I'll have more to share about that of what we're going through. And my middle child, to me, is actually the one that I thought that I would have trouble with, because he's a middle child, right? That's the cliche. Well, he certainly fits that cliche. And so far the baby to me is, I can't believe I'm saying this, but truly the easiest one. I always thought that the older kids would be easier than the baby, but for me, that's currently not true.
Yeah, man.
So tough to find time for my hobbies too. When everyone's home. This week's been pretty good though. I'm feeling pretty relaxed, and I think once the kids go back,
ready
to
to have your family back and have a movie night, huh?
Yeah, I think tomorrow night. I think we'll do a movie night. I don't know what. I think they want to watch the movie The Bad Guys, so I think we're gonna watch that tomorrow night. We love doing family movie nights. It's a big thing around our house.
Nice.
So before we end, we only have a few minutes left. I wanted to quickly talk about we have a new segment called "You Gotta Play This," where we challenge each other as casual gamers. Each one of us have gaps. I think everyone has gaps that I mentioned earlier. I've never played GTA 5, and maybe you have something massive that that you haven't played and you just don't say it out loud. And well, we encourage you and each other to bring it up and then challenge each other on the games we haven't played, because there's a lot of great games, and sometimes you don't want to try something because you don't think you'll like it, but you just need a little push, and then maybe you'll find your favorite game of all time. So I wanted to talk about last week. Houston, you challenged both me and Preston to Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, man. Houston. Why is the sword so gigantic?
I mean, I don't have a reason why it shouldn't be. That's my angle.
That was my first, whoa. Okay, here we go.
It's an ultra great sword, right? That's the term?
That's JRPGs for you, man. Yeah, I mean that's just part of his persona, man. That's part of Cloud.
Maybe that's a Dark Souls thing, but they call them ultra great swords, the giant ones.
I mean that seems like it fits.
So I will say this. I started it. I played probably 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh man.
The combo system for fighting and I guess it's considered upgrading where I'm at. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Was really cool. I actually liked it a lot. The fighting mechanic.
Yeah, and the combat has changed quite a bit from the original. So the original was traditional turn-based, and this one they made it like a hybrid action RPG, with the ability to kind of freeze time and then call out special abilities. So it's like a time slash action. That
kind of I described function. KOTOR earlier. KOTOR never was an action game, but it was. You could.
Yeah, and there's also an auto fight mode to where you can let it attack and defend automatically, but then you can just call out special moves when you want them and when you have the mana or whatever to do that. But I think the action's really good. But I mean, one of my favorite things is seeing the graphical jump from the original. I don't know if you checked out any footage of the original and compared it to this one, but that's where, especially like the intro cinematic, if you watch a side-by-side like YouTube video of the original cinematic and this cinematic, going from like 10 polygons to 10 million polygons is like the coolest thing ever, in my opinion, having played the original.
Yeah.
To check that out. Yeah. I've only ever seen this one, like gameplay, I think.
Gotcha.
So.
And I think it stands up to pretty much anything out there.
Yeah.
In terms of visuals, for sure.
Yeah. I haven't really had a chance to play it yet. I mean, I said that I've started it, and I truly like started it, and then we jumped on this podcast because it was like, oh yeah, I was supposed to play that. And then you guys were ready to record. And full transparency for everyone listening, we actually recorded the first episode only a few days ago. With Preston going out of town, we wanted to make sure we got our second one recorded. And so that's why, but we kind of set a precedent of like, okay, like we'll give this like a month and then like kind of come back and give us like ideas, and we can kind of,
we did set that.
Yeah. And
go at our own pace.
Yeah. And again, it's casual. So
did either of you try WWE?
I downloaded it, and it's only a 2-hour trial. So I'm trying to jump into that when I'm like, I have no distractions I can play for 2 full hours because it's just a trial.
Cool.
I played 45 minutes today.
Did you?
Okay.
I did. Yeah. Before this call, like I've played some old school WWE games, like the original. Was it the original one on N64?
WCW, NWO, whatever.
I've played one of the N64 ones, and then like maybe one PlayStation 1 in between now and then. But I haven't played anything what I would consider modern, like in the past 4 or 5 years. And so, honest opinion, I don't think the gameplay has changed a whole lot significantly. I mean, it is kind of cool. Like I think the dynamic between fighters is really cool, and I do enjoy fighting games, like 2D fighting games. But I don't know. The WWE games have always felt a little clunky to me. Like there's never a lot of fluidity to them. With like, and I think this goes for like most 3D fighters like that. Or like I guess it's 3D, but it's like 2.5D, almost 3D. Where you can kind of like move forward and back, but then it's mostly just left to right. But yeah, I think there's just some clunkiness to it. And then I think the theming and like kind of like how hard they lean into the Rey Mysterio story was a little cheesy in my opinion. But again, I didn't grow up loving WWE. So I do think the amount of like real vintage footage in the story and the menus and like the trailer are super fan servicey, and if I was really into wrestling as a kid, I would appreciate it a lot more now. So
I think
I will give them that for tugging on the nostalgia heartstrings for sure.
I do think from a visual standpoint, those, and I know it's just a cutscene, but how they cut the things, I don't know if you got to that point, but like when you're in the middle
I started the Rey Mysterio like story showcase where like so they'll show vintage footage and then they'll have an exact replica in the game, and then it puts you right in it, and it cuts between the vintage footage and the game. So that was cool. To where it's like, oh, like you're supposed to do this move at this point, and then when you do the move, it cuts to the video of it happening in real time. Yeah,
I really like that. So
in Houston,
but I'm interested to play some more. Like it seems like there's a ton of cool modes in there that I want to get into as well.
There are so many modes. There are like sim modes, there are manager modes, but I would love to hear what you think about it once you get into that.
Sure.
So Houston, we only have a few more minutes, but the game that I challenged you for was Hollow Knight, and I would love to hear your I don't know how long you've played it, but your impressions.
Sure. Yeah, and I think I said I played. It's between 3 and 5 hours, so let's just call it 4. So I have gotten through the one of the first major bosses, False Knight, and then there's one called like the Grub Mother. You said
I think it's Gruz. I think it's Gruz, but yeah,
Gruz Mother. Okay, so anyway, 2 of the bosses I went through. There's like 2 shops that open up. I completed the first shop, and then got to the point where you can find the keeper of the second shop that has much more expensive items, and that's where I stopped. So platformers and Metroidvanias are not my thing. So I'm totally down for like looking for this gap in my gaming history that I may have missed my favorite game, but these 2 I don't think are it. And I'll be honest about that right now. But platformers and Metroidvanias are not my thing. I don't think I'm good at platformers. Like even Mario, like the 2D side-scrolling Marios, like those frustrate me at times. I love them and I love their history. And honestly, like Super Mario World is one of my favorite games. but that's just kind of like when I got introduced to games. Like that was one of the first ones. But this one's like, it's like the hand-drawn style. So like it does have like some cool vibes to it, but the beginning is very slow in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like it took a while and it's difficult at the, like just right from the get-go.
It does start with a degree of difficulty. And you know, deep down, I'm hoping to hear like next week, you'd be like, actually, I'm starting to get into it. And then the week after that, you starting to be, and then you being like, this is my favorite game of all time. And I like,
I think I'm right on the edge. Yeah. Cause the way it seems to be going is that it builds like Stairway to Heaven style, where it's like each thing that you do gives you another tool.
Yes.
In your tool chest to work with. And so I saw the menu and it's like, Zelda, where it's like you can have the boomerang and the sword and the bomb and all that stuff, and so it seems like there's going to be a lot of additions. But yeah, I have very low life. My weapon doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and I only have like one power up right now. So I think I'm kind of just getting to where it's starting to get good. So I'm definitely going to give it a few more hours to see if I can get like really in the groove with it.
Yeah, and honestly, as someone who likes Zelda, man, Zelda is a bit of a, because the whole idea of what a Metroidvania is, right, which is kind of a silly name, but it's because it's games like Metroid and like Castlevania, where it's a game where it's a bit of it starts linear and then you'll pass a door and you can't go through it, but then you'll play for a few hours and then you'll get an item and you'll be like, that opens the door on the first level, and then but then you compound that again and again and again to where like there's so many things and reasons to go back to the places that you discovered in the beginning, and it's just this like incredible experience of discovery, which for me is my favorite part of any game. If you play a game and you have lots of secrets, and especially if I stumble upon them and solve them without help, I just love that feeling. And Mario had that, you know, when you found the warp pipe to the final world or whatever, like that was this exciting feeling. I mean, even God of War 2018 had a bit of that, and there's just a lot of games that have that. And so I love that feeling, and I think as someone who likes Zelda, of like, hey, I got this upgrade, and now I can go do the thing. Like that's a fun feeling, and I do think you'd like it if you could stick it out a little bit more. At least until it opens up more.
I definitely will.
Yeah.
But right now it definitely feels like a 2D Souls game. It's hard.
It is hard. I don't think it's Souls hard.
I watched Andy lose his mind on an airplane.
We played for 3 hours, but I was on one of the, boss. I was literally the like last boss of the last DLC.
Oh man.
And I played for 3 hours and didn't beat him. And I beat him now. But like, I was getting frustrated.
You did it.
Awesome. Well, I'm super interested to hear you guys' like final thoughts on Final Fantasy once you get into it, like for real.
Yeah, and I'll give you that.
But yeah, that whole series is like really near and dear to my heart. So I kind of have like the same kind of like nostalgia for that as like maybe like people that really love the original like Metroid and Castlevanias, where it's like the story is very complex, like most JRPGs. Like some of them are even like they just don't make sense. But this is one of the ones that does, and it's definitely like the poster child for Final Fantasy, which is why I like it so much, because it's the one that kind of like put the most oomph behind.
Yeah. And that's why I want to dive into it. And funny, it's when we start talking about our favorite games, that's when we go over time a little bit. So I think we need to wrap up. So thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate anyone listening for being here. If you would, please take a moment to follow and subscribe to us, Dad Casual, on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever podcast you're listening to. Hit the remind bell for notifications, and then absolutely send us questions, topics that you'd like to hear us talk about being dads or games, to our email, dadcasualpodcast@gmail.com. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you next week. Thanks.
Peace. Later.